well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Join the movement. Listen to the Tori Lowe Show on 101.7 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, the locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Walsh, and we're coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. You can always watch and stream us live by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube, clicking Truth to Power, and then giving us a like and a subscription as well. Again, that's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. It's a beautiful Monday. Had a great weekend. Make sure y'all text and call in at 833-212-1017. If anything I says triggers you or you want to agree with, you want to push back on, you want to send a comment in, you can always text in at 833-212-1017. Shout out to DJ Brother Z holding it down this week as Rhea is on assignment. And I had a good weekend, y'all. I had a real good weekend. I'm a little fat today, but a real good weekend. I had a wedding. And as someone who is looking one day or maybe 1 week or in a month or maybe in years looking to get married at some time point in my life, I went to a wedding this weekend. And, you think about these big weddings, right? You think about, I'm going to have all you can drink, I'm going to have an open bar, right? I'm going to be at this beautiful church. We're going to have this big, a great happy hour. We're going to have a big reception, all these different ideas. And the wedding I went to, it was simplistic. They had it at a nice little park. Park had a pavilion, a little small pavilion. They set it up. Had the reception at a nice little restaurant rooftop. They had open bar. Like, it was cool. It was really chill. And I was like, you know what? You don't need to spend a whole lot of money in order to have a very good wedding. And it gave me perspective, right? The perspective of the most important thing on your wedding day is the fact that you get to spend it with the person you love, because you're having your nuptials and two people are becoming one. But more importantly, the happiness comes from spending that day with the people you truly care about, right? The people that bring you happiness and people that bring you joy. So, as someone who is, one day will be married, it gave me some perspective that you don't need to spend all this money to have a big time wedding. They spent some money, but they kept it pretty low budget, and it turned out great. So shout out to them and congratulations to them. Also, your boy, if y'all don't know, I got a boat. Put the boat in the water yesterday. So go ahead and go to Kyle Wallace 414 at Instagram. If you want to see what my boat look like, you can go to Kyle Wallace 414 to see what the good old Tres Negros looks like. 833-212-1017. So with that being said, though, it's time for the weekend recap.
Truth Nation, we know you have a busy life and the weekend went by too fast. If you missed any of the headline stories, no worries. We got you covered on the top stories you may have missed. Tap in for the weekend recap on Truth to Power. Kyle, tell Truth Nation the biggest headlines they need to know.
The biggest headlines we need to know, Truth Nation, is everything that happened over the weekend. There was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I had to select what were the top 4 stories that I wanted to cover from this weekend. And so again, make sure, yes, it is called Trace Negro. Somebody said, really, it's the 3 blacks. That's what it's called, the 3 blacks. It's 3 people, and Trace is 3 in Spanish, and Negros is black in Spanish. So Tres Negros is me and my boys, 2 black people. So we enjoy our boat. But the top headlines I want to talk about from the weekend. First, I want to start with MPS, Milwaukee Public Schools. I talked about it last week on 2 days. I talked about it Tuesday, and I talked about it Friday. So we talked about the fact that they had a deadline from the Department of Public Instruction to turn in their financial paperwork on time. The deadline was on Friday. Did they meet the deadline? According to reports, we do not know. MPS has been reached out to, and the Department of Public Instruction have been reached out to. Neither have gotten back. So we do not know if they met the deadline on time, but I will say this. Dr. Ken Harris will be joined by Brenda Cassellius, the superintendent of MPS today. I believe it's 4:15 p.m., DJ Brother Z or Ricky, DJ Ricky. One of y'all know the exact time. I believe it's 4:15 p.m.
4:05.
4:05. The superintendent, thank you, of MPS will be joining Dr. Ken today. So we should find out live on air with Dr. Ken Harris today as the superintendent of MPS, Brenda Cassellius, who has been working on this paperwork to get it in, will update us on whether or not they were able to get it in, and if MPS is potentially going to miss out again on over $16 million of funding from the Department of Public Instruction. So update is there is no update. We do not know, and hopefully we'll find out this afternoon on Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris, as he will be joined by the superintendent of MPS, Brenda Cassellius, at 4:05. Make sure you tune in to that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is last Friday I discussed how, or maybe it was Thursday, but I discussed how terrible a weekend we have for Memorial Day weekend. I talked about the fact that we had 13 shooting incidents in 4 days over that weekend. And again, unfortunate, and unfortunately for us, it got worse. This Saturday alone, we saw 4 people left dead in one day here in the city of Milwaukee. 4 people succumbed to gun violence in the city of Milwaukee. Had an 18-year-old on 41st in Glendale, a place I've been by, who was killed. A 29-year-old and 48-year-old were killed on East Burleigh and 2nd Street, again, an area I have gone by. Matter of fact, I think the community cleanup was not too far away from there when we cleaned up the community back in April. And then in addition to that, the 4th person who lost their life over this tragic bloodshed weekend was a 49-year-old who was killed around 95th Street. And so what's crazy as Milwaukeeans, most of us have been, especially if you live on the north side, you have been to all 3 of those different areas at some time, and knowing that somebody lost their life in that area is not a comforting thing to know. And I'm telling you, this is crazy that we have 3 separate shooting incidents that left 4 people killed and so much bloodshed, which I believe is so unnecessary for us to have. I just don't get how someone decides that they get to make a decision on whether or not somebody lives or dies, right? It's messed up to me. And I did my show in Madison on Friday. And I don't love bringing this up, but I bring it up because when I do my show from Madison, I always think about I drive through the city, and the city streets annoy me there. But I think about in Madison in 2024, they had a total of 7 homicides in 2024. In 10 days in Milwaukee, which I understand, I get it, Madison and Milwaukee are completely different, have different makeups. We have double the number of residents, different industries. It's completely different, right? You're going to have more violence in Milwaukee than you have in Madison. But having 25 times more homicides, 25 more times violence in Milwaukee when we're a little over double the size, or really not even, about a little less than double the size of Madison, it doesn't equate. It doesn't add up, right? It does not add up. But in 10 days in the city of Milwaukee, we had at least 9 people die of gun violence in 17 different shootings. In a span of 10 days, we had more violence in the city of Milwaukee than what the entire city of Madison sees in an entire year. Do we understand the mental trauma that puts people through? Do we understand that isn't normal? And we have to understand that that is not okay. It's not. We have to be better. And I don't have all the right answers, but I do believe that we need to continue to have conversations. And I do think it starts with industry, and I do believe it starts with jobs. Because when you bring industry, you bring jobs, you bring more opportunity for people not to get in trouble. And then from there, we need to start holding parents accountable with their kids, right? What are you doing to teach your kids to be good human beings, to be decent human beings? To be decent human beings. Just an anecdote from the wedding is the bride was talking about how when she was growing up, she had a group of friends that were the mean girls that she ended up hanging out with, and her mom found out, and her mom said, I did not raise my child to be that type of person. I did not raise my child to hang around those type of people. And so she immediately told her daughter, you can't hang with those type of people. And I think it's so important for parents to be able to identify their child, hold their child accountable, and let them know what the standard is of this household. And I believe that accountability in our community in Milwaukee, we need to make sure we have that type of accountability so kids understand what the expectation is inside their household. And then on top of that, we need to talk about what we do inside these schools, because I think it is the sole duty of the schools, not just to focus on kids graduating from MPS, but more, or going to college from MPS. But I think there needs to be a conversation where MPS needs to celebrate the job placement of these students. Because I'm one that believes we are wasting these kids' time. Wasting these kids' time by putting a kid who ain't going to college, but making them take a math class, English class, or science class the second semester of their senior year, when they could be utilizing that time half day in school, half day going to work, half day getting them prepared for a job. It should be a requirement, an absolute requirement, that when these kids graduate, either you have an acceptance into college, you have it, whether it's a 4-year school or a 2-year school, or you have an acceptance into apprenticeship, or you have a job. That you have a job. You do not get your high school diploma. You do not graduate. You do not walk across that stage until you have a job placement. Because we need to clean up the streets. And so I call upon the Mayor Johnson, Cavalier Johnson. I call upon the Superintendent of DPI, Jill Underly. I call upon the Superintendent of MPS, Brenda Caselius. I call upon the MMAC President, who oversees the economic engine of the state, the MMAC, Dale Kuyinga. And I call on Governor Tony Evers to create some study and a plan to implement to ensure that we change this high school pipeline to make sure it's not just high school to college pipeline, but it's high school to college, high school to career pipeline at MPS. We need to change the curriculum, because this violence that is happening because people do not value one another, and nor do they value themselves. So we got to address this. We must address this. The next big story that I do want to hit on is I do want to provide a quick update on the Maxwell Anderson case. That is a case that has to do with Sade Robinson, who was murdered, allegedly by Maxwell Anderson. Now, there's no significant updates, but I just want to make sure I'm providing this information to you. But there's no significant updates as of now in the case. The defense is arguing that he had no reason to commit the crime. He had no reason to murder Sade Robinson, but he was the last known person to be with her, and the defense does seem to be doing what they can. Excuse me, not the defense. The prosecution does seem to be doing what they can to get a guilty plea or get a guilty verdict from the jury. So I applaud the prosecution with that. There was no drugs or alcohol in Robinson's system as well, based off the test that they did, unfortunately, of her leg, because that's what they had to test. And they usually like to do blood tests, but they obviously weren't able to do that in this case. So they did another way to test, and she did not have any of that in her system. I did see online, which I cannot confirm, that the family of Robinson actually went through some stuff inside of the courtroom or outside the courtroom. It was on Facebook. I cannot confirm whether it's true, but they said that the family is not being as treated fairly when it comes to inside the courtroom, and some of the things they had to deal with outside of the courtroom, and the family of Maxwell Anderson like staring at them, something like that. I just hope that information that was provided on Facebook is not true information. I could not confirm it. I did see some news sources were reaching out to the person that posted this. I'm sure to do some more digging. But again, I hope that the family is not having to go through additional trauma while trying to get justice for their daughter and their loved one who they lost in Sade Robinson. But 833-212-1017. We'll take Al here for comments on Sade Robinson. What comments do you have about Sade Robinson?
My thing with the Robinson, the man went out his way to get her. He went out his way to cut her up. And then they still didn't even find her head. So why the hell are they trying to get her not guilty? When the man admitted, a white man admitted, he went out his way to cut her up like dog food. So please do not let this man get off. And black folks, y'all better start speaking from y'all damn heart. Don't let this white man sit up here. See, y'all, this is the problem. Y'all be patting these people on the hand because you're afraid what the hell they think, and then y'all got to turn to angry Christians and get drunk to say what's on your mind. You better start speaking what's on your mind now. He went out his way to seek. He went out his way to be a predator and cut her up. So no matter how much they try to condemn this young baby, he went out his way, and this is in his bloodline that he admitted to cut her up. Guilty.
I hope it's you too.
Start opening your mouth.
I hope it is a guilty verdict. I don't think he admitted to doing any of it. That's why he's on trial now. But they're saying he doesn't have a motive. But really quickly, I will go to Facebook so you can hear the story that was the message that was here that I saw. In the message that I saw on Facebook, it says, in the beginning of the trial, we were told that we couldn't whisper to each other or others or use our phones. That's an understandable rule, no problem. Yesterday, we were told we could no longer communicate by writing on a notepad, so don't speak, read, or write. Got it. In the beginning, they said anyone wearing pink would not be allowed inside the courtroom. Pink is a color they wore for Sade Robinson to support her and her family, as it could be seen as a statement to influence the jury. Protesters were okay to wear it outside. Okay, cool. Yesterday, we were told if protesters showed up in pink outside, it may be a cause for a mistrial. If people organizing it are not associated with Sheena or the foundation in any way, and I'm not 100% sure who Sheena is, I'm going to be honest. How is anyone supposed to be able to control what people do or wear outside the building? Sheena was asked to see if she could use her influence to tell people not to show up in pink, and she doesn't already have enough on her plate. Sheena may be the mother of Sade Robinson. That may be who I believe that is. But I think the thing that makes me the most mad is the fact that Sheena was told that she didn't stop looking so mean at Maxwell, they would remove her. So basically, it doesn't matter if pictures of her daughter's mutilated body parts are being shown. Fix your face when you're looking at the demon who did it. It's not enough that she's already controlling her emotions and suffering in silence. Meanwhile, they're letting Maxwell Anderson's stepmother slide after catching her videotaping in the courtroom, which is an arrestable offense. In fact, she's still able to attend the trial. Let that have been one of us. Tell me why during the breaks, out of all the benches lined up in the hallway, Maxwell's family purposely chose to come all the way down to the opposite end of the hall to sit in front of the room assigned to Sade's family, to laugh and talk loudly outside the door with their friend about going out for drinks. And so again, this is somebody, her name is Candy LaShore, and she posted this on social media. Again, I don't know how accurate or true all this is, but I do know if this is true, it is unfortunate because this is something that, again, the family shouldn't have to go through all this. They're just trying to get justice. They are just trying to get justice. 833-212-1017. That is your weekend recap here on the award-winning 1017, The Truth on Truth to Power. Now, when we come back on the other side, we got a couple things that we need to talk about. One of the things is the fact that Diddy may get a pardon from President Donald Trump. Hey, I'll play the audio. I'll let you judge. And also, the big news that happened from the weekend is that a transgender athlete in California took second place in her competition. And I want to have a conversation talking about what this means and what this means for the future of America. So keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power. And let me tell y'all, we got some controversial stuff on the docket.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Truth
Truth Nation. Unfortunately, violence is on the rise in Milwaukee, and this is a problem which impacts us all. Please join me and the Truth Team on Saturday, July 12th from 9 a.m. to noon for our third annual Walk Against Violence, supported by 1MKE. Enough is enough. Now it's time to bring an end to senseless violence in our community. To join our Walk Against Violence on Saturday, July 12th, visit truthwalkagainstviolence.com to sign up today.
Need to look sharp for graduation? You need
the $100 hookup.
Want to get decked out for prom? Get the
$100 hookup.
An incredible deal that includes a marvelous suit, shirt, tie, shoes, all for $100. Only at Nick Avani's, home of the
$100 hookup.
And that isn't limited to some standard stock suit. You'll be pleased by the top quality and variety of fashion offered at Nick Avani's. Get hooked up today at Nick Avani's in Mayfair Mall and at nickavanis.com.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth for Axe Housing. Are you tired of paying a landlord rent when you should be paying yourself? Do you want to leave a financial legacy, or would you like to have a stable place to call home? Well, it's time for you to start on the path to owning your own home instead of renting. You can work with an Axe Housing coach, and they will teach you how home ownership can be a reality. Axe Housing has helped over 4,000 families in our neighborhoods. Many times your mortgage will be a lot less than what you're paying for rent, as an average Axe family who has been helped pays around $900 per month. No matter what barriers you think you're facing, Axe Housing coaches can assist you right now. An Axe Housing coach will help you create and stick to a plan and a budget and get you ready for home ownership. If you're not dreaming of home ownership by now, you certainly should be. Let's make it a reality with Axe Housing. Get started on a virtual orientation by clicking on axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Don't let where you are financially right now get in the way of your very bright future of becoming a homeowner. Axe coaches are here to help.
It is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Yeah, gang. Shit, I ain't in the mother. I don't want your I'm cool. Got $100 million on my to-do list. Got killed with a you stupid. Slide this way, just don't miss it. Don't hit one.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Walls, and I'm coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at The Avenue. Make sure you watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Click Truth to Power. Give us a thumbs up. Also, give us a subscribe. And if you have any thoughts or comments on the conversation, you can always call or text in at 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talk and text line. Now, it's Pride Month, okay? So it's Pride Month that started yesterday. And I live with somebody who is, I consider myself an ally, but she's a true ally. You know, she's an advocate. She cares about all people. That's why I adore her and love her, because she cares about everybody. And that's why I love about her. But with it being Pride Month, this morning my lady, she asked me, she said, Kyle, what are you going to be talking about today? I said, baby girl, listen, I'm talking about trans athletes. And she said, Kyle, that's the way we're going to start Pride Month? That's what we're going to do? We're going to start Pride Month talking about trans athletes? I said, oh, come on, baby. I just report the news. That's what I do. So I do have to say this. Let me start by saying happy Pride Month to everybody. And I mean that genuinely. I do. I support those who decide that they want to live out their truth. Regardless of what other people think or judgment, they deserve to be seen and acknowledged. And as a black man, I fully understand the importance of representation. I do. Because representation is so important to see yourself in something. And so for individuals in the LGBTQ plus community, happy Pride Month, and you are seen. And for those who want to chastise and do not like the LGBTQ community, that's a freaking you problem. That's what it is. That's a you problem, to dislike somebody because of their lifestyle, what they choose to do personally, right? Someone else's existence should never bother you. And for those who like to quote the Bible, Leviticus, and say it's an abomination, I hope when you live your life, right? I hope you live your life without sin. I hope you aren't casting judgment on somebody knowing that you live in your life in sin. That's the thing I hate. When people said that, I'm like, bro, I know what you do. Like, what are you talking about? You sleep with multiple women, not married. You utilize certain drugs, alcohol, like you do all these different things. You don't go to church all the time, but you're sitting here as a sinner talking about somebody else. So again, for individuals who are anti-LGBTQ, that's a you problem. Get over it. To me, it's disgusting to hate somebody or dislike somebody because of their lifestyle. Now, what I wanted to discuss today is I do have some concerns when it comes to transgender women competing in sports. And I've had those concerns for a while now. When I say transgender women competing in sports, I'm talking about individuals who are born male at birth and have transitioned now to be women, right? Individuals who see themselves as when they were born, they didn't feel comfortable in the skin that they were in, the body that they were in, and they decided that they identified more with a different sex and becoming a woman, and that's the decision that they made. I may not understand to have those feelings, but it's not for me to understand and have those feelings. That's for them to choose, and they chose that. Good for them. Now, when it comes to competing in sports, again, I've always been uneasy about this. I've been very, very uneasy about this. And when Rhea Thomas, the swimmer from the University of Penn, a trans woman, was competing in the NCAA championship back in, I believe it was 2021 or 2022, I was uneasy about it. Now, Rhea did not win. She came in 5th place. And before she transitioned from a male to a trans woman, she was about the 65th best swimmer at the University of Penn in NCAA. And then when she transitioned over to being a woman, she became the 5th best swimmer in the 200 meter. Now, I did not like the fact that she got to compete. I didn't think it was fair. I personally did not think it was fair, and I felt like she was taking a spot and a place away from another woman because genetically, there are advantages. You can try to do all you can to suppress certain things, but there still are advantages that men will have over women in sports. It is what it is. We can try to act like it ain't real, but it is real. So now fast forward to this weekend in California, there was some controversy that brewed up, right? Some controversy that came up in California because a trans teenager was competing in track and field in California. And again, when I saw the headline, I admit, when I saw the headline, I said, oh, here we go. I felt uneasy about it because I think about fairness, what's fair and what's not fair. And for somebody who I do not have children, but I do have little cousins who are women, I have, other people in my family who are women, I don't think it's fair for a biological man to compete with a woman. I didn't think that was fair. And I still, to this day, I won't change my stance on what fairness is. I do not believe it is fair. I don't believe it is equitable. Something that so many liberals talk about is equitable. I don't think it's equitable for a born male to be able to compete with women. I know for a fact, if I competed with women in different sports, even at the age of almost 35, I could probably compete with some of these women. Now, I had to work out a little bit, but I do not believe that it is fair. And I feel like women should have a say in this. Now, in this case of California, there were protests against this young lady who was competing, and everybody has a right to protest. And even the president of the United States discussed threatening freezing federal funds to the state of California for allowing her to compete. Now that, my friend, that is where I feel like we have drawn a line. You can't sit here and talk about threatening federal funds when something is actually legal in the state. Now, y'all may have heard the story and may have been outraged and upset and may have been like me, somebody who heard it and cringed a little bit. Didn't like it, right? I was like, what's happening? You may have been like me. But then the importance of researching, the importance of just taking time to read an article. Stop reading headlines. Stop listening to what the stupid president that we have, who is an old senile man, says. Because you're never going to get the truth when you just read headlines or you only read from one article or you listen to something that Donald Trump is saying or somebody from his administration is saying. Because when you actually pay attention and get the truth, then you have the ability to actually know what is going on and what's happening. And so I decided I need to take a step back and I need to figure out what California was actually doing. And when I actually paid attention to what was happening, I found out what California is doing is they're doing the right thing. California has it right because we got to get to the point where we're figuring out that these people identify as women and they want to compete with women. Do you make it so they have their own league? I don't know what the solution is, but when I heard what happened in California, I found that they have the almost perfect solution. So, Truth Nation, when I did my homework and I did my research and I figured out what was happening in California, what I found out was in the state of California, do they allow trans women to compete with biological women in certain sports? Yes, they do. In the case of track and field, was there a trans woman competing in running and jumping and long jump and high jump? Yes, she was. So, yes, there was a trans woman who competed. Was there a trans woman who got on the platform and got a medal for competing? Yes. But here is the reason why I say California may have gotten this right. And when I talk about equitable and when I talk about fair, they may have gotten this right. The young trans girl teenager who was embraced by other competitors, maybe not all of them, but by some of them, she came in second place. And when she came in second place, this young lady got a second place medal, but guess what? You know what they did in California? They also gave the girl who was born biological female to also get second place. So check this, Truth Nation. For the top three finishers, if the trans woman was to finish first, second, or third, she wouldn't hold that title by herself. There will be a biological female that would also get a first place or second place or third place medal along with the trans woman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call getting it right, where everybody gets to compete. And even if a young girl felt it was unfair, she wouldn't be knocked off the podium, which I believe is equitable. So I want you to go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. We're going to play a video clip from the reaction from athletes to competing with a trans girl this past weekend in California State Track Meet.
Valley took home her first gold in the girls' high jump at the California High School Track and Field Championship today. A.B. Hernandez shares her first place win with two other athletes who also cleared a height of 5 feet 7 inches. Hernandez also placed second in the long jump. Her participation has drawn national attention, sparking controversy. President Trump even threatened to pull federal funding from the state. Earlier this week, the California Interscholastic Federation changed its policy. It allowed an additional student to compete and even medal in events where Hernandez qualified. We heard from Hernandez's mother after the competition today.
People need to know. People need to know, like, our truth. It's not always what people put out there. There's a lot of hate being spread. Fortunately for us, AB's blessed, and there's been definitely more support, more love than what's being told.
This isn't some complicated gray area. This is basic biology and common sense. This is the erasure of female athletics.
The group Equity California says the CIF's new rules represent somewhat of a pilot program, being inclusive to all students. Meanwhile, Governor Newsom hasn't been definitive about where he stands, saying he understands both sides.
That was from ABC7. And so in that, there was also another one that had a young girl who competed against her, who praised her and supported the girl. You saw the mother as well talking about how she was, happy with the support that she got. And this is why I said when you see something that is a problem, and California saw something that was a problem, and they found an equitable solution by allowing for other young ladies who were born biological female, who got the same place as the trans girl, they also got a medal as well. That is called equity. Equity. 833-212-1017. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I see your calls, I see your texts, but I want to ask, did California get it right? Did California get it right by allowing for this trans girl to compete with biological girls and allowing for, if a biological girl also got first place, then they would get the first place medal as well? Whatever place this girl came in, she wasn't knocking anybody off the podium. 833-212-1017. Because that was the biggest complaint people had, is that it wasn't fair that biologically born women had to compete against a trans woman, but now they are letting biological women, if they came in second place, regardless if it was tied with the trans woman, they get the second place medal as well. Did California get it right? 833-212-1017. I see you, Winky Blue. I see you, James. We'll get to your calls. I see your texts. I see y'all inside the YouTube. 1017 The Truth on YouTube. We'll get to all of that on the other side. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
This is your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
So, Black women's leadership needs to be prioritized. That means a whole lot of things, but it includes a message for white women, which would be, it'll be wise for you to take our lead. We've already demonstrated everything there is to the world about who we are. We shouldn't have to keep doing that over and over again. The reality is that there are times when we got to muster up the energy to do some things we don't want to do. But I don't want that to be commonplace for me, and I certainly don't want it to be commonplace for other Black women. There's often this message that we need to stay strong because there are people depending on it. No, we need ourselves.
Yeah, you can't, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes. And I even am hearing people say a lot more, you shouldn't pour from your cup at all until it overflows. And it's the overflow that you give. You keep the full cup for yourself.
This has been your Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin Minute.
At Hope Christian Schools, they're transforming lives through the power of Christ-centered education. Their nurturing environment combines academic excellence with strong Christian values. They offer free transportation and free tuition options to help set children up for success. Through faith, dedication, and unconditional love, they empower their scholars to discover their God-given potential and pursue their greater purpose. Don't wait. Start your child's journey at hopeschools.org.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Sneim. Milwaukee Brewers have won now 7 games in a row thanks to Jake Bauers with an RBI double to right to put the Brewers ahead over the Phillies on Sunday afternoon.
The 1-0. Line down the right field line. It's hooking into the corner. It's a fair ball, and that's going to roll forever. Scoring from second, Chourio. Right behind him, Contreras. No relay to the plate. Jake Bauers with a go-ahead pinch hit 2-run double.
The win improves the Brewers' record to 32-28 on this season. They'll begin a 3-game series on the road in Cincinnati this evening. That first pitch is set for 6:10. To the NBA, over the weekend, the Indiana Pacers punching their ticket to the NBA Finals. They'll take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1 in OKC set for Thursday evening. The Sports Update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
Up like Donald Trump. Up. Word. Up. Up. Sunny Digital.
Truth Nation, violence is a problem that affects us all, but together we can make a difference. This is why we are hosting our 3rd annual Truth Walk Against Violence, led by Tori Lowe, on Saturday, July 12th, from Victory Over Violence Park down MLK right to our studio or at the 3rd Street Market Hall. Over the next month, Tori Lowe will be speaking with different politicians and community leaders. He'll be speaking with Mayor Cavalier Johnson this month. He'll be speaking with Sheriff Danita Ball this month. He'll be speaking with District Attorney Kent Laverne this month. Next month, he'll be speaking with David Crowley as well. We're trying to get the police chief on, but he's going to be having a conversation about how we can stop violence. So make sure you tune into the Tori Lowe Show this month, because he will be speaking with community leaders. And if you want to join the fight to stop violence, go to truthwalkagainstviolence.com right now to sign up for our Walk Against Violence, supported by 1MKE, on Saturday, July 12th from 9 a.m. to noon. Let's sign up and let's fight against violence. And then in addition to that, Truth Nation, join us for the 54th annual Juneteenth celebration in Milwaukee on Thursday, June 19th. The Truth will be broadcasting live from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Stop by our broadcast to say hello, get some free swag. Juneteenth in Milwaukee is one of the oldest and biggest Juneteenth celebrations in the country, so don't miss out on your chance to celebrate with us with our live Juneteenth broadcast presented by Hope Christian Schools and Carroll University. 101.7 The Truth celebration of Juneteenth is also brought to you by American Family Insurance, Gruber Law Offices, Molson Coors, Educators Credit Union, and Associated Bank. 833-212-1017. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Make sure y'all go and watch and stream us live on YouTube, as we are having a conversation talking about, in California, they allowed for a trans girl, she's 18, to compete against the girls. It got national attention. The president threatened the state of California by pulling federal funds. And I believe that what California did is they did not disallow this young girl from competing. They said, hey, listen, what we're going to do is that whatever place she comes in, if another girl places at the same place in medals, we will give both of them the medal. So as you saw in the video that I showed earlier, there were multiple girls on the second place podium and first place podium, the trans woman and then the biological woman as well. I think California got it right. I want to know what you believe. 833-212-1017. I see y'all on fire inside a YouTube chat. Make sure y'all go to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube so you can share your thoughts and be part of the dialogue in there. But Winky Blue, you have a question for me. You're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
Kyle, I like you a lot, man. I really do. I think you're intelligent. I think you're a bright dude, man. But if you ever been to California, if you've never really been there or spent any time there, if you haven't spent any time there, then you won't understand what's going on. California is implementing California throughout this whole country, and what's happening here is that we're mimicking California's politics all through the country. They're injecting it through this whole country. When you say a trans woman, see, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to go to that side and start calling a man a woman because that's insanity. He does not have a uterus. He does not have a monthly. He doesn't bear the same organs that a real female has. So, therefore, for me to start calling him a woman, that means I'm kind of becoming psychotic. I mean, if a guy put on a Spider-Man suit and go down on 27th and Burleigh in the middle of the night when all the action is going on, and he jump out and say, "Stop in the name of Spidey. I'm Spider-Man." Okay, he starts to believe that he's actually Spider-Man. Then he's become psychotic at that point. And what it is that these are people that are implementing this to weaken the male anatomy. Listen, brother, you don't have even a Boy Scouts anymore. You know what you got? Just the Scouts
of America.
But they still got the girl.
Yeah, I agree.
Huh?
I disagree. I disagree with that too. With you, I don't think it's fair that they had to change.
Hold on, you disagree with what?
I disagree that they had to change.
Yeah, but now they got, but they still have a Girl Scout.
I know.
See, a trans boy.
I know.
What about a trans boy? Can a trans girl or whatever you call it, can a man that's dressed up like a woman go join the Girl Scouts? No way.
I don't know.
They're not going to have that. Well, I already know. They're not going to have that because the people that are running this thing are lesbian women. Why do you think women ain't coming out against the Me Too movement, the people that fight for women's rights? Why they not pushing back on that? You know why? Because they dominate and they rule the homosexual. See, without the women's movement for the 20s, the homosexuals wouldn't even have a play in the game, man. It's the women. That's where your DEI comes in at. That's why it's got to be severed. It's got to be severed at the woman's point.
Winky, can
not
I ask
at the black way.
Winky, can I ask you though? Because I think I explained it well enough from my perspective that I do not think it's fair that women can compete. That women have to compete with what I call and is universally called trans women who are born biological males. I didn't think it was fair. Now, do you agree that California, with them coming up with a solution that allows for trans women to compete, but they can't knock another student off the podium? So if they get first place, the actual biological woman who got first place gets that medal as well. What is your issue with that perspective and that take?
That right there, that's to soften us up for what they're trying to do. See, that's the soften. Listen, man, that's just like giving a trophy to every kid on the football field.
Well,
I've never been for that. You're a loser. Soften your game up. Come back next year. Win the trophy.
Winky, isn't that better? Isn't that better than the previous solution where you saw, like we talk about Leah Thomas, who is the swimmer from the University of Penn, who got 5th place? Don't we think that's a better solution where you're not taking something away from the young girls? I mean, if you're just mad because a trans girl is out there running and competing, that's a
man. He ain't supposed to be in the sport. You see what he did in the MMA fighter when that boy crushed that girl's head, crushed her skull, and then resulted that she died later. Hold on, not too long ago, one busted out a girl teeth about a year and a half ago, knocked all her teeth out.
Listen,
hey, man, we're not going to play these games, and you are too intelligent to even entertain it.
Winky, you're talking about combat sport. You talking about combat sport. We're talking about track and field. You talking about combat sport.
Hey,
I agree. And get to take it out of combat
competing.
sports, but. All right, so you saying you just don't want them competing at all, even though they have it, so the girls lose out on nothing. You just don't want them to have it.
First of all, we got to quit calling a man a trans girl.
No, that's
wrong.
No, that's not. It's actually what the term is. Transgender is what the term is. You may not like it, but that don't make it wrong.
You're going to go along with. See,
I'm not going along.
This is where one of your colleagues. Well, this is where one of your colleagues don't like me because my perspective is what the population is actually saying that they don't want.
I got to ask you, Winky, is transgender a word in the dictionary or not?
I don't think it is. I don't know if it is. Maybe they just put it in there. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't study it like that because I know one thing that is dangerous to me and you and our offspring, brother. Our offspring, man, it's dangerous, man. And so, let me explain something to you.
Winky, I gotta get to another call, but what I'm saying is this: is that you may not like it, but transgender is in the dictionary. So I mean, we can't you may not like it, but it doesn't mean that your perspective and your views should be the end all be all. My perspective, in my view, shouldn't be the end all be all. But we got to understand that these individuals exist. You may not like the fact that they exist, but they exist, and we have to live with it. We do, because this girl at this point now, if you mad that this girl competed and she did not knock any girl that competed, the girl that came in first place, the biological girl that came in first place. she still got her medal. So at this point, you just are showing hate towards these individuals. And that ain't right. 833-212-1017. James, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts here on this conversation? Do you believe California got it right?
No, I don't believe California got it right. I feel that we're doing a lot to try to appease the LGBTQ and all other kind of communities. And the one young lady that won, why should she have to share her trophy with somebody else? Why don't they just have a sports for those transgenders, whatever you want to call them?
There might not be enough competing, and I get what you're saying, but so you don't like.
Well, then they don't have it then.
So you don't like the fact that they had to share the podium. You don't like that.
Exactly.
Okay. But
if she won as a woman, let her win as a woman and hold second place by herself.
Okay.
Yes.
James, you have every right to your opinion. Hey, you have every right. So that's okay. That's okay. Everybody ain't gonna see it the same. That's okay that James feels that way. It really is. It's okay that everybody. This is a controversial conversation, but I just want to bring it to the forefront because this isn't going away. And I think trying to get rid of somebody's existence and say, "Oh, well, go compete against yourself." Listen. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I didn't like women having to compete against trans women, but I felt like California got it right. That's why I brought it here. I felt like that's equitable, where the girl isn't getting knocked off the podium. But if you don't want her to have to stand on the podium with her first place medal, or 20 years from now when she go look at that medal, nobody's gonna remember that she tied with a trans girl, or she finished behind the trans girl but still got first place. She forever is going to be known as the first place winner. 833-212-1017. Mark, we'll wrap up with you. You're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts here on this conversation?
I'd have to chime in with the two previous callers on this one. I think that musculature and biology cannot be reversed through a sex change operation. So in essence, you have the musculature of a man and you're competing against women, and we've established that men and women have different musculature.
Mark,
I
don't want to interrupt you. I agree. But so the question that I'm asking is in the state of California, what they did was they allowed for the trans girl to compete, but she didn't knock anybody off the podium. So when she got first place, the biological girl who finished first place of all the biological women, she also got a first place medal. So, she also got second place. So do you disagree with California's solution of saying any girl that finishes in the top 3, if they lost to the trans girl, will still get that medal based off the biological? Basically, I'll be honest, they had the trans girl out there competing against herself, competing against others, but she really wasn't knocking anybody off the podium. Are you okay with that or no?
I'm not okay with that.
Can you explain why?
Certainly. The choice to change your gender is a personal choice, right? Yep. So if it's a personal choice, then know that you've made that personal choice, and as a result, there's going to be things that happen in life as a result of that personal choice. Just like I personally chose to become a plumber, I'm not going to see banker money. I'm going to see plumber money. I'm going to have to live with that and deal with that. If you choose to change your sexuality, why do we as a population have to accommodate and assimilate to your personal choice? That you personally chose.
Mark, one last question. If a state decides that they're going to allow for trans women to compete, and they're not going to allow the trans women to take any awards away from the biological women, if the state allows that, would you be up in arms, or are you just like, all right, well, that's a happy medium? Really quickly.
If the state allows it, then that's what the consensus and the population has sought to do through their elected officials. Either they agree with that or they repeal it. So, when the masses speak, the masses spoke.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate everybody with the conversation. 833-212-1017. I told y'all going to be controversial. I didn't even get to Diddy getting a pardon from Trump. We're going to do that tomorrow, but we are going to wrap up the show. I'll share my final thoughts on the other side. Make sure you watch and stream us live on YouTube, 1017 The Truth on YouTube. This has been Truth to Power. We'll wrap up this show on the other side.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, the Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. When it's time to upgrade your windows and doors, wouldn't you like to work with the best? But maybe you're thinking in these volatile times, I don't want to spend a fortune. Well, Pella, the best in the industry, has a product line for every budget, and right now you can get no interest and no payments for up to 2 years. And if the plan is to wait, guess what? You can get it now and wait to start making payments up to 2 years. Pella truly believes that quality windows and doors don't have have to be expensive. With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the U.S., you can get the look you want at a price you can afford. And with Pella's free in-home consultation, no obligation quote, and range of available financing, getting new windows and doors from Pella is easier than you think. Certain restrictions apply. Ends June 30th of 2025. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Need to look your best for a special occasion? You need the $100 hookup. This incredible deal includes a marvelous suit, shirt, and tie, all for $100. Only at Nick Cavani's, home of the $100 hookup. And that isn't limited to some standard stock suit. You'll be pleased by the top quality and variety of fashion offered at Nick Cavani's. No matter the occasion, maybe you're just ready for a fresh, new stylish look. Get hooked up today at Nick Cavani's in Mayfair Mall and at nickcavanis.com.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Bike crash? Call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
1, 2, 3, ho!
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I'm your host, Kyle Walls of Truth to Power. And shout out to y'all, Truth Nation, for chiming in on YouTube. Y'all had a great spirited conversation in YouTube. As we talked about, there was a young girl in California who was a trans girl who competed against biologically born women in sports. And I said it before. I felt uneasy about that. And we need to find a solution. And a lot of people think the solution is get a league of their own. I get it. Yes, that's something that I thought as well, but obviously there probably are not enough transgender athletes across this country for them to be able to do that. And people talk about NCAA, there was less than 11 trans athletes in NCAA sports. So we get all upset, we get all mad about this instead of trying to find a real solution. And I felt like the state of California finally got it right. They got it right because they allowed for this young trans girl to compete with individuals that she identified with. You may not think she's a woman, you may not like this, but at the end of the day, I care more about this girl feeling seen. I care more about this girl feeling like she can live her life and not hate themselves, because suicide is real in the LGBTQ community. So your hate and how you feel should not matter when it comes to saving a life. I know a lot of us are Bible thumpers. I believe in the Bible as well, but more importantly, it's about treating others the right way. And I want to treat these trans individuals the right way. And California said, listen, we're going to allow you to compete, but we're not going to allow you to bump anybody off the podium. If you beat a biological girl, she's not going to get second place because you came in first place. She's going to get a first place medal as well. See, for me, that is equity, and for me, that's finding the right solution and finding a happy medium that can satisfy everybody. I understand this is controversial, but we got to find a solution because trans people ain't going nowhere no time soon. So let's find a balance where biological women can still compete, still get first place, and not have to worry about being knocked off the podium. California got it right, and y'all also got it right as well, Truth Nation. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. This has been Truth to Power with Kyle Walls on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. The Tory Lowe Show is up next. Peace out. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Truth Nation is the best fan base in the country.
This is my first time calling in, but I listen to you all the time, and I appreciate you.